control. Breach in 5, 4, 3.
What's up, guys? I'm Uncle Freedom, coming to you on another glorious and well-deserved day off. And today, we're going to take a look at hard truths of the Minutemen scenario. So, for those of you that follow the channel for some time, you know that I have made uncomfortable truth videos. That's kind of, I enjoy doing those. They're fun. They're kind of entertaining. Yeah, some of it's comedy a little bit, and there's stuff for people to think about. I've dropped 2 videos of uncomfortable truths around the Minutemen scenario, and I've had people comment on those that these have absolutely nothing to do with the Minutemen world. And you're right and you're wrong. Guns, gear, capabilities are a part of the Minutemen scenario. In fact, they're a large part of the Minutemen scenario. It just so happens that the first 2 could be just directed as a gear guy in general, like just uncomfortable truths around gear. And I read that and I saw it and I thought to myself, you know what? Let's do hard truths, real truths. Nothing about this video will be funny. So that's a warning now. This is going to be hard for some people to hear. It's going to be very uncomfortable. It's going to leave your brain thinking about things you didn't want to think about. And that's okay, because you got to face those at some point. And I'd rather you think about it beforehand. So where does my experience come from in this? Where do I get off making hard truths about something that are this serious? Well, I grew up on the outside of a very high crime with gang violence and drugs area in central Alabama. I then left and joined the military. And in the military, I was an infantry guy. So our entire job is hunting people. Like, that's what it is. And then flash forward 10 years later or whatever, I left all that behind. And now I'm a cop. And as a cop, I see the bad in society that most people in towns don't even realize exist. I've had people tell me, we don't have drugs in our town. Uh-huh. Right. Like, we raid houses a lot. So, yeah, that's the thing. I also am still in contact with military guys that I served with that are just retiring now, that have deployed 9, 10 times, as well as having access to all of my fellow law enforcement, SWAT, SRT, and HRRT, high risk response team stuff that do warrants and drug raids and surveillance and stuff. I have access to those people as well as my own personal experiences. And together with those, you start to realize there's a pattern. So, long intro to this one. Let's get into this. Hard truths of the Minutemen. 1. A few, if not all, of your group is already known to the government. Fact. Like, you think they don't? Real life. All of you are already known about by somebody, guaranteed. Like, it's just how it is, man. Number 2, of those that are known, half or more will turn over sensitive information, locations, and plans when faced with an opportunity that lets them either save themselves or go down. They're going to flip. Think it's false? We flip people all the time in law enforcement for way less circumstances and less dangerous things. Number 3, and these all 3 go pretty well together. They already know what firearms, ammunition, capabilities, resources, equipment that you have. They are 100% aware. You fill out a form every time you buy a firearm. They have access to credit card companies and stuff. We've already heard about that happening. They already know what you have. You register your vehicles. When you buy land, you pay taxes on it. Crime or not, theft or not. Not here to discuss that. What I'm saying is they already know. So that hidden location that you are sure no one knows about, they know it exists. Sad fact, right? Gets scary when you compare it to number 2 there. Number 4, communication, comms, absolutely 100% vital. We would all agree to that. Inter squad, squad to squad, squad to base, 100% vital information systems that we have. And you can and more than likely will be targeted and or tracked using that very lifeline that you're carrying on you to keep you in communication with your other teammates. Number 5, near-peer threats. I mentioned near-peer threats in one of the Minutemen videos. So I'll kind of go a little further on that a little bit. Near-peer means, in a military aspect, for the United States military, a near-peer adversary would be China, Russia. Not many other people that like we are with have that capability. Now, yes, we could talk about anybody within NATO. So England, Britain, the Brits, the French, whatever. Yeah, they have our capabilities. They have the same stuff, right? And when I say near peer, like a lot of people get hung up around the axle of thinking of night vision, which yes is a thing, but it's not the whole story. You have to think cartels, gangs, they have access to every single thing we do. And because they don't need an SOT or a destructive devices license, they have more. And they don't have to do anything to get it. Hard truth. And this, somebody's going to comment on this because I mentioned the government in the first 3 statements. And this is why. We all want to believe in the Red Dawn scenario. We truly do, because the Red Dawn scenario is the easiest scenario in which we could fight people on our soil that we can swallow. Taking out people that are attempting to take your country and hurting people you love is a lot easier to accept and swallow when they're from another country. But let's kind of look at that. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is conventionally invading our country with any kind of a real size force. That's not going to happen. They're not going to get across the ocean and invade with the kind of equipment and force size and logistics needed to do anything other than be a blip on the radar that got smoked in the middle of the ocean. You think about it, like that people don't want to believe that, but in Afghanistan and Iraq, we had tens of thousands of fighting troops deployed in those areas that were smaller than the state of Texas. And we had planes, vehicles, logistics, mechanics, fuel, armaments, ammo, explosives. We had everything there. And we still had issues holding on to places or taking places that were in front of us. So if you believe in your heart of hearts that a foreign invading force is going to get more people on the ground than we had in, say, Iraq or Afghanistan, or combine the two, to take an area of land that is giant compared to most of the other places and be able to get the logistics train here in order to do it, you're wrong. The reality of this is, the hard truth, is that you're probably going to be fighting fellow Americans that are blinded by their belief in a failing system or corruption or whatever, the almighty dollar. Think that can't happen? It never will? Civil War did. Number 7. If and when you make any real progress as a guerrilla fighting force in a Minutemen scenario, you're going to be demonized, hunted, and people are going to be offered money and rewards to give you up. You got to remember something. History is written by the victor. So whether or not this scenario ends with you being a patriot or a terrorist is entirely dependent on whether you win or lose. Number 8, anyone that you find yourself fighting in this scenario believes just as firmly that they are right and doing the right thing as you do. That's a hard one to swallow, right? It's true, though. Afghanistan, as demented and jacked up as Al-Qaeda and the Taliban were, those people were true believers in their, right or wrong. Like that's not the argument. They were true believers. They truly believed in what they were fighting for against us, to the extent that they would grenade themselves to take us out. They believed that much in it. So that's hard truth there. Number 9, living in any world at all, where we are facing a Minutemen scenario and it is taking place currently, is going to suck. Just beyond words, suck. Unclean water, little to no food, no resources to speak of unless you can conjure them up or take them. Spotty to zero communications. Very little information, and then when you get the information, it can be bad and intentionally misleading information. You know and trust everyone in your group right now. What about after one of their children dies? Because you didn't have, from an easily preventable reason, and the reason they died is because you didn't have the resources. Do you trust them knowing that the other resources exist over the next ridgeline? Number 10, your known enemy that you're going to fight is only a part of the adversarial picture. Those people I mentioned in near peers, gangs, cartels, they're people too, and they're power hungry. They want power, control. They are going to cause problems in a world where societal constraint and the normal rule of law is broken down, and we are divided along lines of Minutemen fighting for the ideal of what the country should be and what our founders intended, and the people that wish to destroy it. If you think for a second, power abhors a vacuum, if you think for a second that somebody armed better than you, because remember, they don't have to do the paperwork you had to do to get anything, and they have destructive devices, they're going to cause problems. They're going to take things, and they're going to be really hard to combat because they're probably going to be armed better than you are, and they don't look like the guys you're supposed to be fighting. Bonus point number 1. Fighting other humans that want to take you out is an emotionally and psychologically damaging and draining experience. If you think that's BS, you're wrong. I will 100% tell you, you are wrong. Nobody comes out of these scenarios unchanged. It alters everything about your world, how you view things, what you do, your reaction. It is basic science. It is going to take place. And if you think I'm wrong, incredibly well-trained, young, mentally resilient young men and women have crumbled from this experience. Are you any different? That's an question you have to answer. And the biggest question on that one is, are you different and not a psycho? Are you still feeling emotionally? Do you know things are wrong, but you understand it's necessary? You have to answer that. I can't. And I won't tell you how I answer. But I'm very well adjusted after everything I've done. And my final bonus point, and I saved this one for last because this one hurts. Nothing at all about this. Zero is fair. There is no such thing as a fair fight. When they torch your food stores or burn down that little plot of land that nobody knew about with your cabin that you built with your own two hands to keep your family safe, when they burn that to the ground while you're hunting, and they take and they hurt children just to get to you, or they execute family and friends and people that just stood in the gap against them. Maybe they weren't even combative, but they're a problem, and their dissension can cause other people to find the strength to resist, so they have to be dealt with. I mean, when they withhold resources to starve out people. In case you're wondering, that's a real thing. It's called siege warfare. Affecting and impacting logistical and resources to a secluded and cut off location in order to force compliance or surrender. Siege warfare. That's a real thing. Do you think the other side isn't going to do those things to win? Really? What would or wouldn't you do to prevail? Where's your line at? So that's a question you got to answer yourself, and you damn well better know it before anything happens. So guys, I'm Uncle Freedom. Thanks for hanging out with me today. You wanted real hard truths about the Minutemen scenario? There you go. Maybe I'll make another one of these. But more stuff to come. So stay tuned, guys. There's lots more Minutemen marksman rifle stuff, lots more gear stuff to come, loadouts, chest rigs, plate carriers, armor selection. That's going to be a big one. As well as like a fighting handgun and lowlights. Those of you following, I've been taking pictures and stuff. I've been starting to get data and information for the lowlight video. Going to be a great time if you're interested at all. Good stuff. In fact, for those of you that watched one of the last ones I posted up, there's the X300 Turbo I actually had out on at the airport. So guys, I am Uncle Freedom. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Be ready. Be prepared. Until next time, I'll see you later.